Kale joins the solo carry list for top lane this patch. Hui drops out from mid lane due to his nerfs, while Jinx is going to be even more insane for S1.4 due to the Infinity Edge changes. We've got all this and much more to cover in today's video as we provide you guys with 3 champions for every single role that are top tier for the current meta. And do you want to master the champions we feature in these videos but just can't seem to find the quality guides that you're looking for? At SkillCapped, you'll get access to over 2,000 full game commentaries from our challenger players teaching you how to climb in the exact rank you're stuck in. 10 brand new commentaries are released every week, 2 for every single role, with the focus around covering new trends and the most popular solo carry champions. On top of this, we have daily challenger updates where our multi-season, multi-role challenger player Hector gives his expertise on anything new that pops up in meta, so you stay ahead of everyone else. And of course, to top it all off, you'll get our premium edited courses for every single role, with thousands of hours of content to guarantee that you climb this season. We're so confident in the quality of the content that we have to offer, which makes SkillCapped zero risk for you, because if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while using SkillCapped, then you get your money back, no questions asked. So you can click the link in the top right corner of the screen or use the link in the description below to check us out. So starting it off up in the top lane with direct nerfs to Warwick along with nerfs to tank items for this patch, a top laner who we're moving into the top 3 is Kale. Kale has been performing very well in this new season, and there are a few factors that have helped her out. First is that Kale players are taking full advantage of how OP swiftness boots are right now, as over 70% of Kale players are running the boots. The Swift March boot upgrade is just so powerful, and for a champion like Kale, whose majority of worth is based around auto-attacking enemies to death, the added spacing power that swiftness boots provides is amazing. Kale's more difficult matchups aren't being picked very often in meta right now either, as Aurelia, Kennen, and Teemo are all outside of the top 10 in play rate. Aurelia is the most played of those 3, so she's a good ban to consider. On the flip side, Kale is feasting against some of the most played meta tops, as she's winning over 53% of the time into Garen, Darius, Aatrox, and Mordekaiser. The optimal core build that you should be taking on Kale consists of a Nashor's Tooth Rush into Rabadon 2nd and Lichbane 3rd. It's press the attack for the Keystone Rune with Absorb Life, Alacrity, and Last Stand, while Celerity and Gathering Storm are for secondaries. Moving up into the top 3 for this patch is going to be Darius. Darius has found himself in a really strong spot for S1.4 as he's got an incredibly powerful rune setup right now, and with tanks becoming weaker, it just adds even more indirect strength to Darius. Axiom Arcanist is the new rune that is adding a bunch of power to Darius for this season, as the rune makes his skirmish power that much more deadly. Our challenger expert Strompist actually just completed a new full game commentary where he's showcasing Arcanist Darius, which you can find on our website. When it comes down to meta matchups for Darius right now, one champ who most Darius players are losing to is Riven, so she's a good ban to consider. All the mobility and shielding that Riven has makes it more difficult to win out in trades, and you can't be as proactive as you'd like in the matchup. The standard core build for Darius revolves around a Stridebreaker Rush into Deadman's Plate 2nd and Sterix Gauge 3rd. A mainstay on the top lane solo carry list for this season so far has been Urgot. If you want to play a top lane champ who is relatively easy to pick up and has the ability to bully really hard early on in lane, then Urgot is the pick right now. Skirmish of Urgot has gotten even stronger for this season with how powerful swiftness boots are on him, as he's more mobile and able to stick onto his targets easier. Consistently sticking on a target has always been one of the main issues of Urgot, so it's really no surprise that swiftness boots are literally winning 5% more than steel caps. With steel caps getting nerfed for this patch, there will be even more incentive to prioritize swiftness boots. Black Cleaver as a rush on Urgot is just too good to pass up on, as you proc the Cleaver passive almost instantly due to Urgot's W. Second item will be Sterix Gauge, and from then on out, it's situational. In regards to who you should ban when picking Urgot, Mordekaiser is one of the better options in meta. Phase Rush and Press the Attack both have viability on Urgot for his Keystone Rune. Phase Rush is best when up against a ranged or a top laner who has lots of mobility. If you're against a less mobile champ though, and you don't need that added sticking power, PTA is the way to go. So breaking into the jungle, top 3 for this patch is going to be Master Yi. Yi got indirectly buffed last patch due to the attack speed cap going up, as once you have your core 3 items, you're able to exceed the cap with the champ. This core consists of a Blade of the Rune King, Rage Blade, and Wit's End, as you're getting attack speed from every single item. It becomes even more silly if you're playing with an enchanter who can provide you with an attack speed boost, as your consistent DPS power in the late game goes through the roof. The craziest thing about Yi right now is that he's defying what we have known of him in the past as a low elo stomper who struggles in the higher brackets of play. Throughout S1.3, Yi literally had the highest win rate for any jungler in Master Tier, so the champ is just super good for all elos right now. It's hard CC lockdown that is going to be Yi's biggest counter come those later game fights, so banning out a meta jungler like a Mumu who has a really strong lockdown combo is a good idea. The optimal rune page for Master Yi revolves around lethal tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, while Freeboots and Cosmic Insight are for secondaries. Back in the top 3 for another patch is going to be Nunu, as the champ is just so powerful for solo queue right now. What we like so much about Nunu is that he can be very active early on, ganking a ton and helping his team work towards that feats of strength objective. Nunu's build is also so powerful powerful for solo queue because it offers up the perfect mix of damage and durability. You rush Liandry's, go into Deadman's Plate second, and then round it out with an Abyssal Mask third. The Liandry's rush is amazing so that you have more early to mid-game snowball strength, and then the tank items to follow allow you to be that front line for your team as games drag out. One meta matchup you may want to consider banning when picking Nunu is Master Yi, as you really need to snowball hard early on against Yi, or he'll just end up hard outscaling you the longer games go. Optimal rune page for Nunu consists of Phase Rush with Axiom Arcanist, Transcendence, and Water Walking, while Triumph and Haste are the best secondaries. Axiom Arcanist is quite underrated on Nunu right now because he gets double value from the rune compared to most champs. Arcanist not only increases the damage that your R deals, but it also increases shields, so when Nunu pops his R, he gets a bigger shield and does more damage. By far the best jungler that you can spam right now if you are in Plat or below is Amumu. Amumu is such a god tier jungler for the lower ranks for a few different reasons. First is that Amumu builds tanky, but still deals a loaded damage, which makes him more forgiving than most junglers. Second is that Amumu's teamfight is top tier, which has given him even more value for this season, where fighting around Otacon in the mid game is high priority. And lastly, Amumu's clear is very straightforward, which means you can pick him up right away and not have to worry about min-maxing your clear too much. The core build that you'll want to run on Amumu consists of a Liandry's Rush into Sunfire Aegis second and Thornmail or Abyssal Mask third. For the rune page, it's going to be Conqueror with Triumph, Haste, and Last Stand, followed by Conditioning and Overgrowth for secondaries. Using your ban on a support who's going to disrupt your teamfight potential is a good idea when picking Amumu, and in this case, Lulu is one of the better options right now. Moving back up in priority for mid lane and kicking off the top 3 is going to be Ahri. Ahri has been on the rise recently as we've seen direct nerfs to Victor and Hui, while the buffs to Electrocute last patch were great for Ahri too. Ahri is one of the few ranged mids who actually likes to take Electrocute, so due to the buff, she's jumped past many of them in power. Especially in melee matchups right now, since Electrocute is super easy for Ahri to proc with her W and just auto-attacking, she has a much better time against the likes of Sylas, Yone, and Akali early on. One meta matchup that's worth a ban right now is Syndra, as her long-range catch and burst threat is difficult for Ahri to outplay with her mobility. The meta build for Ahri has not changed in quite some time, as you're still looking to grab the core of Malignance into Horizon Focus so that you have as much haste for your R as possible. The full rune page consists of Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Grizzly Mementos, and Ultimate Hunter, followed by Mana Flow and Transcendence for secondaries. Back in a really good spot for solo queue due to the Electrocute buffs from last patch is Fizz. Fizz is a champ who wants to play for that level 3 spike in lane, and then once he hits it, he can look to trade very aggressively. With a simple W into Q and auto attack combo on Fizz, you're able to proc Electrocute, and then you can use your E to back away so that you don't take any damage in return. The 20 damage added to Electrocute makes this trade pattern even more oppressive for Fizz and allows him to set enemies up in lethal range a bit faster. The only matchups in meta that Fizz is losing to right now are Akali and Galio. Fizz has a 56% win rate in the Mel matchup in the moment, so if you've been looking for an answer to Mel, Fizz is a great option. Core build for Fizz revolves around a Lichbane Rush into Zanya's second and Rabadon's third. The best rune page consists of Electrocute with Sudden Impact, Grizzly Mementos, and Treasure Hunter, followed by Triumph and Coup de Grace for secondaries. To spice things up from time to time, we like to feature the occasional niche pick that flies under the radar but is incredibly powerful, and we've got one of those for mid lane right now, being Karma. Karma mid had a time in the spotlight last season at one point and was the most played mid, and right now she's at a similar power level but way more underrated. Main reason for this is due to the Axiom Arcanist rune being added, as Karma is one of the best abusers of the rune in the entire game. Whatever spell that Karma uses, she gains added value from the Arcanist rune as it boosts damage, healing, and shielding. From what we can tell based on the Arcanist tooltip, it's only AoE damage that has a lesser effect from the rune, but AoE shielding does not. This means that a Mantra E in a teamfight can provide your entire team with 14% bonus shielding, which is just immense value from the rune. So the optimal rune page right now has you going Comet with Arcanist, Transcendence, and Scorch, while Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter are for secondaries. You're not only stacking haste and runes, as the build is also entirely haste-centric, with a Malignance Rush into Horizon Focus second and Cosmic Drive third. Matchup-wise for Karma mid, she's a great neutralizer, so she really doesn't have many terrible matchups that you need to worry about banning. Infinity Edge is becoming cheaper for this patch, so ADCs will be hitting their mid-game spikes faster, and an already powerful ADC who will become even better is Jinx. Jinx is an ADC who likes to build Infinity Edge as her second item, so with the cost going down, you'll be getting to your powerful 2-item spike a bit faster. Yuntal Wild Arrows was also buffed recently, so both of Jinx's core items have gotten stronger, which has led to her being on top of the meta. If you're looking to pick up Jinx, we have a ton of content on our site to help you out with 26 commentaries along with our Master in Minutes course. When picking Jinx, it's always a good idea to use your ban on a meta dive champ, and right now Diana or Nocturne are two of the better options. Once you get to 3 items on Jinx, as long as you're able to survive long enough to find that first reset and proc your passive, then you can take over fights, so it's really just about making sure you don't get dove on and one-shot right away. The rune page for Jinx is going to consist of Lethal Tempo with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Cut Down, while Absolute Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm are for secondaries. Vayne has been on the rise as of recent due to a few indirect buffs and is our second solo carry ADC of the patch. What's really nice about Vayne right now is that both Press the Attack and Lethal Tempo are viable keystones for her. PTA just got stronger on Vayne in S1.3 because true damage is now amplified by damage amping effects like the passive on PTA. So your all-in power when running Press the Attack on Vayne has become stronger. With that being said, attack speed cap going up has made a Lethal Tempo setup stronger, as well as once you reach 4 items and have an enchanter with you who can boost your attack speed, you'll be able to take advantage of the cap going from 2.5 to 3. Attack speed cap buff is definitely not as consistently impactful as the true damage change though, because games will end before you're even able to complete enough items to take advantage of the buff. The best build for Vayne right now has you rushing Blade of the Ruined King into Rage Blade 2nd and Terminus or Wit's End 3rd. As for the rune page, Press the Attack is going to work best when you're paired with a melee engaged support, as the stronger upfront damage is going to help you capitalize on their catches. If you're with an enchanter support though, running Lethal Tempo is the way to go, as you will need those more extended fights where Lethal Tempo can really ramp up. Caitlyn is always a pretty good band to consider when picking Vayne, as Kate's longer range and strong laning phase can be more difficult for Vayne to deal with. And to round out the top 3 for ADC this patch, we have Twitch. Like Jinx, Twitch has already been in a powerful spot as of recent, but will be getting even better this patch due to the Infinity Edge changes. Even though the Collector into Hurricane is still the more popular 2-item core for Twitch, Yuntal Wild Arrows into Infinity Edge is going to be a core to watch out for in S1.4. When it comes down to a 2-item core on Twitch, Yuntal with IE was winning the most in S1.3, so the fact you can hit that core a bit faster for this patch should make it even better. Of course, it's Twitch's rune page that has really pushed him over the edge for this season, as he's one of the best users of Axiom Arcanist. Similar to Vayne, you do have the option of going either Press the Attack or Lethal Tempo on Twitch, so depending on who you have as a support, you can swap around. Melee engaged supports are going to give PTA more value, while enchanters will offer more strength to Lethal Tempo. One matchup in meta worth a ban when playing Twitch right now is Corki, as Corki's stronger early game skirmish can be difficult to match. Making his way into the solo carry top 3 for S1.4 is Thresh. It's been quite some time since Thresh was on top of the meta for support, but things have been trending in his favor as of recent. Buffs last patch were kind of odd because Thresh was already in a decent spot, so the buffs really helped to push him into that upper echelon. When it comes down to a hook support right now, Thresh is outclassing alternative options like Knot, Blitz, and Pike. Lulu directly nerfed for this patch gives even more indirect rise to Thresh, as Lulu had been the standalone best support of S1.3. The standard build that you should be taking on Thresh consists of a Locket Rush and a Knight's Vow 2nd, while Solstice Slay is the item upgrade. For the rune page on Thresh, Aftershock, Glacial Augment, and Guardian are all viable right now. Aftershock is the cookie cutter page that you just can't go wrong with. Guardian is going to work best if you're up against a very bursty bot lane duo, while Glacial Augment is great if you're against a lower damage enemy comp where the added durability from Aftershock or Guardian won't be as necessary. One matchup in meta giving Thresh players some issues right now is Elise, so she's a good band to consider. With Lulu now nerfed pretty hard for S1.4, taking her spot as the best solo queue enchanter is going to be Nami. Nami is such a great enchanter for solo queue because she has the ability to take matters into her own hands better than most other enchanters. A lot of other enchanters find more of their worth in keeping their carries safe, but Nami is an exception, where she wants to be going hard and looking for aggressive plays. Once you have Imperial Mandate completed, the all-in power in the 2v2 is incredible, as you provide your ADC with so much bonus damage. The Mandate proc on top of your bonus damage from E allows for your ADC to hit really hard with those first few autos. After going for Mandate on Nami, it's either Moonstone or Shurelya's that tend to work best as second pickups. When deciding, it all comes down to how valuable you think the Shurelya's active will be for the game you're in. If the enemy comp has a ton of heavy dive to where providing your ADC with bonus movement speed will help them peel in fights, then go Shurelya's. If not, then Moonstone is going to be the better purchase. Heavy all-in is what Nami is going to struggle most against, so banning out Thresh due to his recent spike in play rate is good value right now. As for the rune page, look to grab Aerie with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch, followed by Bone Plating and Revitalize for secondaries. Moving up in priority for this patch due to Lulu dropping down and a top 3 enchanter for solo queue is Karma. We really like Karma for solo queue for the same reasons as Nami, as Karma is an enchanter who almost plays more like a poke mage in lane due to her Q. You have the ability to take over lanes by yourself with Karma, which is not something that many other enchanters can do. What's really pushed Karma over the top for this season though, and has made her a top tier support, is the introduction of Axiom Arcanist. The rune works incredibly well with Karma's kit, and more players need to start running the rune on her. Mid lane Karma players have caught on, as 65% of them are taking the rune, but only 40% of support Karma players are taking Axiom Arcanist right now, so more than half of them are missing out on the main reason to why she's so good. Here's what your rune page should look like, as it's Aerie for the Keystone rune with Arcanist, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm, while Font of Life and Revitalize are for secondaries. For the build on Karma support, it's a Moonstone Rush into Redemption 2nd with Dreammaker as the item upgrade. Matchup-wise for Karma, champs who have heavy all-in power are who can be more volatile to play into, so banning out Pike or Thresh is good value. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top-tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So that's going to wrap everything up for our S1.4 update on the best solo carries. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.